internets, I'm Michael, and today on Toucan Game we have a review of Package by Halfwing Games. So what is Package? Well, if we look at the box, we see the name of the box and it tells us that it's an abstract, well, an absurd abstract game of package delivery. Yeah, that's not really telling us a whole deal, really. It's giving us a lot of information. It's not really giving us a feel for what that game is. Well, what the game is it's a short little filler game. It is abstract. I don't really know about absurd, but there's definitely an element of take that there. Short filler about moving cubes, which are your packages, to these different locations, and there are 5 locations. It's all about trying to get the most score. So the way the game all works is you start your turn, you roll the dice. Depending on what that dice does, you then have quite a few options. And this is where the game has quite a big level of complexity compared to the playtime. So, for example, I just rolled a 4, which would mean I could place my pawn at the 4th location and also place a cube there. Or I could do some other things, If I rolled a 6, my options are different. And if I roll the same number location as where I am, my options are different. Now, what causes the game to end is each person has a set number of cubes. Once each person runs out of cubes, they have a special final turn that has different options for when you roll the dice compared to your other turns. But, once you've done your final turn, that's then you out of the game and you've just got to wait till everyone else finishes. But keep in mind, this only takes 15 minutes in total, so you're not going to be waiting around for a long time. So what do I actually think of the game then? Well, normally I'd start with the artwork, but this is a Kickstarter prototype and there isn't really any art to speak of. There's a bit of graphic design on the box and there will be a player aid, but that's being worked on at the moment. I don't actually have it to hand to really comment on. I've seen some kind of examples and it will help a lot with the game. With regards to then components, as far as I'm aware, these wooden components are going to be the final components. They're nice, perfectly fine wooden components. I quite like wooden components in a game. I think it gives it an earthy, high value feel to it, having this like brightly coloured painted wood. The components themselves, they have that abstract nature, as I've said, with the cubes being packages, the locations being almost Monopoly house-like in shape is an interesting choice. I don't think it really adds or detracts from the game a huge deal than being that way. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Let's move on to the gameplay. So yes, as I've said, when I was kind of trying to go through roughly what the game is, just in very short, and if you do want to know more about the game, I have actually done a how to play video, so do make sure you go and watch that, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with all the different options that are available, because I go through them in great detail. Now, all those different options do create a barrier of entry to this game. It does not have a ease of entry. There's a high learning curve to learn this. It's going to take you a game at least to learn it, and you're going to need a reference sheet there for 3 or 4 games before it finally is all sunk in and clicked. Now obviously, it being so short, you can play 3 or 4 games, and the games are fun once you've gotten down, right, what are my options, because otherwise, to begin with, you're like, roll the dice, and okay, alright, it's a 2, which means I can what again? And you've got to look in the rules currently, you'll be looking at the reference sheet once that's available. So that's a real barrier. But once you get past that, it is a really fun game. Yes, it's abstract. Yes, it's quite take-that-y because you can remove other people's cubes from the game. You can move them down. There's a lot of that kind of going around. There's a lot of, especially when you're playing with the 4 players, there's a lot of like chain reactions of things going on. It is a very interesting game that does play quickly. I like the fact that in the 2-player you have some extra cubes just to give the game a bit of extra life to it, make it last a bit longer. That works really nicely, which kind of answers, can 2 play that game? Yes, 2 can play that game. You'll still have the same learning curve issue, but it will go faster because there are fewer people struggling with that learning curve issue. And that's really the problem with this game. The level of learning compared to the length of learning is a real shame. But when you get past that, it is a good game. It is an enjoyable game. Is it anything hugely special? Well, when is a filler going to be a hugely special, life-changing experience? It's not, no. But it is a fun game. Now, I would say it's not really going to be a family game. It is going to be, because of that steep learning curve, more of an experienced gamer's game as a filler, and that you will struggle to just bring this out for new players to play while you're waiting for other people to arrive, etc. Because it's going to take you 15 minutes to explain the game, 15 minutes to play your first game. Well, probably actually more like 20 minutes, 25 minutes for your first game because of all the referencing. And so, yeah, that kind of gets in the way. But, yeah, otherwise, a good, fun, filler, abstract game. If you like abstracts, if you like randomness, because there is a lot of randomness in this. The dice kind of dictates what you can do. You've still got a lot of choices once that's happened, but it can make a big difference. If that dice just doesn't come up the number you need it to, that can make a big difference in this game. But being a short game, it's fine it being that luck heavy, and the choices you have do help to mitigate that somewhat. Okay, so that is my thoughts on Package by Halfwing Games. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, and of course if you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing to the channel and sharing it with your friends and family. And do also take a look at us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.